Good day guys, how are we all doing? Right, I hope we all good. I hope we all good. Okay, so this is our normal synthetic indices analysis, and the setup which happened, I also want to speak on it. So I'm just going to share this video under the candlestick trading Bible because there is a particular setup which we learned in the book, which I also want to explain on this particular trade. So I'll just try to make it quick as well. So starting with C500, which is what I want to speak about. So for the past 2-3 days, we've been bullish. You can see I was looking for sales in here. Sales didn't materialize. Price continued being bullish, but we've been pushing up for quite some time. So I was open to the idea of getting a retracement, especially since price ran the liquidity on top here. All right, so what I ended up doing is I was on H1 watching price. This day was super bullish. This was the high. Yesterday price extended that high. They set a new high here. So when I came to the charts today, what I noticed is price now had broken this level here. So this is a higher low. Price had broken that higher low, and I was just anticipating a potential of price actually continuing to the downside, targeting this zone here or the 50 EMA on H1. So what I ended up doing is, since I've got a trend, so this is from the candlestick trading Bible, since we've got a higher high here and a higher low here, this higher low was then broken by this impulsive move down. So what you notice is price left a supply zone at the top. Structure is broken here, right? So I'm now open to the idea of price continuing to the downside. So I'm looking for price to create a lower high than this one here. So at any point, price had to retrace and create a lower high. So how I came up with the entry now. So as long as you get a trend or the hunch that you're about to have a trend, you want to mark your high on the impulsive move, you want to mark your low, run your fib, wait for the retracement. So when price retraced to about this area, I think this is where I initiated a sell, and I advised the guys to sell in the group. And we had a safe sell just below this order block here. So I was considering this the peak at that particular time. And I also requested for stop loss to be placed outside the range, and to just see if price plays out. So we had a runner here. So price ended up pushing up to 61.8, 70.5 percent fib retracement level, and we had a bearish engulfing. So remember, each time price retraces into your point of interest, you want to get a pin bar, an inside bar, or an engulfing bar. So on this particular example, we had a huge bearish engulfing, and this became our new peak for that particular move, and this was the order block. So we can see we actually then came and broke, retested, came to break the self sell, our initial self sell from there, and price just melted all the way to TP2, and the trade was complete. So this trade most likely paid out about 40 pips, 40 plus pips, if I'm not mistaken. So depending with where you entered, if you entered here on this particular entry, then you took about 43 to 45 pips on that particular trade. So that was the setup I wanted to explain based on what we read on the candlestick trading Bible. So I hope this helps. The rest of this video is just for our normal daily analysis on synthetic indices. So I'm just going to go through some of the assets. But if you caught this trade with me, we are done for today. The rest, we're just having like a normal analysis in case somebody missed the first setup. So in case there's also another setup on the other assets, whoever missed out can still take a trade. So what am I anticipating now? Same thing, more or less the same thing. So I've got another impulsive move. This was the initial low. Price didn't retrace to any level. So now this is the initial low. So now my setup is looking like this. I've got this point of interest, which is right near the 50% fib level. I've got an order block right here, just above the 70.5 pip retracement. Excuse me. And I've got the bottom part of the broken order block, which is slightly above the 61.8% fib retracement level. So those are basically my points of interest. If I was to be trading this right now, let's say I didn't catch the trade, I'll be looking at something like this. We can potentially get a setup like this, but I'm still open to price actually coming to take out this high and potentially even to this high before they even continue selling. That's also possible. So just be open to price doing anything and be ready to trade whenever a familiar pattern shows. So one other thing I wanted to pinpoint was we also had a baseline bounce confirming our earlier sell here. So right now, price might most likely maybe break it and then bounce off the 50 level. That's also possible. So if we get this type of confirmation, then this price will most likely push all the way to TP2 and most likely get to the 800 EMA on the M15. So that's how I'm viewing C500 at the moment. Going to C3. Okay, C300s, I was talking it. I think we had a sell signal. If it was not here, I think it was here. If I'm not mistaken, we had a sell signal. And the safe sell area was not broken. So our runner is either we close a break even or the price took us out, one of the two. So price continued extending the highs, took out this, and we look like we've got a higher high on that level there. So before I do multi-time frame analysis based on each one, I can just mark my points of interest. This is just based on my understanding of price. So we've got this high. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the weekly just to check the candles. So weekly price is being delivered to the top side. This current week, we can see the moving averages in between. So for now, we don't know whether we're going to close above the 13 EMA to signal a potential continuation of buys all the way up into this level, into this area, or we are going to actually close below, this being a rejection and price actually continuing to push back down to this level. So for now, we don't know. So we do not have a clear bias when it comes to the weekly. Going to the daily chart, price came up, slowed down here. This is where we wanted to sell, safe sell here. Price didn't break. This was also going to be just a continuation. So we're trading a retracement, looking for a continuation buy. But that particular setup didn't happen. Price just continued pushing up. So now this for me, through screen time, usually shows that price wants to sort of retrace or pull back or potentially reverse. So daily again, we're still above the 13, but we are now anticipating a reversal. So now daily, we've got anticipation of a reversal. Drop down to H4, looking for a pattern. If we had to use H4 as for a sell pattern, then this would be the highest high. This level would be the order block, and we can only sell when price comes below this area based on the 4-hour. That's the safest sell we can trade on this particular asset. Then dropping down again to H1, you'll see this is the level I marked. If we switch to a line chart, you will notice that's the high there. Right, so that was a point of interest. Come back to the candles. You can see price sort of rejected that area. So right now, for today, this will be the highest high for today, and this would be the order block. So a possible safe sell can happen here intraday. So we're going to mark that area. So remember on H4, the safe sell is below this spike. Let me just confirm if it's the one we marked just now. Okay, the safe sell is below this order block. Right. This is I would call an early entry confirmation. If we come and break and close below here and potentially retest, that might show that price has the potential to actually continue pushing down, breaking this order block, and this becoming a reversal. So that's just what we're anticipating based on the candles we're looking at. Going back to on each one, going back to M15. So on M15 now, you see that we've got a pattern like this. Not the best of patterns. Okay, we had a peak, which was the highest high of the day. Order block, price came, broke, closed below, came back. Looks like they retested this order block and price has broken this structure, or looks like it's breaking this structure. So how I would love to attempt this if I want to sell. Wherever price gets to, I would love to run a fib. So if this is an impulsive move, wherever it gets to, I'm going to run a fib because it will be an intraday trend. So I'll run my fib and see if I can catch a retracement and another leg. So let's say, for example, price gets to here, breaks this level and starts to retrace. My point of interest would be right here for a sell. Soon as I get any confirming candle here, I'll be looking forward to actually take sales on C300. So I'll be actively stoking on C300. And if you've got an account which is, which is $100 plus, if you're trading C3, you can risk at least $20 to $25 to make at least $50 to $100. So that's how I just calculate my risk, and that is based on the smallest lot size which is applicable here, which should be 0.50. So I hope those numbers help. So that's my view on C300. Going to C1000. C1000, you can see I had ran a fib after we got this huge sell here. A few days ago, I ran my fib, and what I realized is we actually had a short sell here. A nice pin bar off the 38.2. So this was the short sell, but they didn't break this level now. So price continued to extend the high, came back to the 38.2, rejected, gave another sell. So intraday, those are actually good sell trades because this is H1. Intraday, we drop down to M15, M5 sometimes. And as long as we can get a pattern, we can get 20, 30 pips out of these moves. So price continued playing around that area. I'm just going to extend the fib. Right, so again, another opportunity here. Price extended the high, gave a nice clean rejection candle there. Then it melted. Another good sell there. A potential sell trade here, but this was like 2 a.m. so most of us would have missed it. So right now, what am I looking at? So price looks like it's just playing around this area. It doesn't want to go higher. It can potentially go lower. So with that bias, let me just check the daily as well. I'm going to remove the fib now since I already know how the setup is mapped out. Okay, so on the daily, it looks like price wants to come back to this liquidity on the bottom here, potentially, but at the same time, I'm open to see price actually pushing higher all the way to the 13 EMA before we even get any form of sell. So the bias here, or the setup, is low probability for now. Yes, we might sell, but the probability of us selling is actually low. So where can we potentially sell from in case we decide to sell? So a safe sell for me will be below today's lows. I would love to see price push, break, and retest for me to actually be comfortable with the sell. Because looking at this high intraday, this looks like it's a downtrend. This high also hasn't been taken out. So chances are we might actually play out like this, although it's still a low probability. So if we jump down to M15, look for somewhere where we can have an entry. So what I notice is a fair value gap right here. So from that high there, which broke a structure, I've got a nice fair value gap here. So this makes me consider taking a sell here and having a stop loss here and might take profit right on today's lows. I won't even wait for that break and retest. If I can get price come up here, give me a nice rejection, I can have my sell and target today's lows. That will be a complete setup. That's the first scenario which could play out. If they don't come up here and they decide to just drop, I'm looking for that break and retest for me to actually look for an entry right on this level. Then if price decides to come up, I still want to see how they will react here. Are they still going to come down, or are they now going to break and this will work as an inversion or inverted fair value gap and or a support zone, and price will actually continue up to yesterday's highs, and maybe we might sell from there. So this zone is a point of interest for me. So I just want to see if price is going to get here, how are we going to act in that area before I actually decide to take a trade. Then I think that's my view for C1000. Nothing too drastic there. C5 we're stalking, C300 we're stalking. Oh, we're still waiting for a potential. So again, what could happen is price could actually do this. Let me highlight this point. So if you notice, this low has been broken, which makes this an impulsive move. So you can still run a fib from here to here in case price decides to just retrace now and get into this area. So we'll be looking for sales again, right anyway in this area around 50% fib retracement level for a move to the downside. So that's the other view which I might have omitted. But if this price continues to fall now, then we'll have to change our fib and line it up differently from the high to the low, then see what values it's going to give us for a potential entry. So going to be 1000. B1000 looks like it's a nice, okay, these are my notes. It looks like it's a nice rejection of the 13 EMA for now on the daily, as you can see. I don't know how you guys view this. Also looks like we had an impulsive move here, which came to our zone. I hope you guys caught this because I remember we were speaking about this price getting up into this gray zone. In the past few days, I wasn't on the charts, but I hopefully you caught either this day or this day for that move going up into that gray zone there. So how am I looking at it today? I'm looking at this currently, the way it's looking, looks like it's a rejection of this particular order block, which is also within this zone, which is also the 13 EMA. Baseline bounce slightly above the 50. So price has got potential to push back up. That's my view from the daily. And unless the daily close is maybe showing something else, for now, I would love to actually look for buys, safe buy above this area here right now. So we are hot on B1000. If anybody hasn't traded today, we are hot on B1000 for a potential buy at the break of 14,200. So let me just update that in the group quickly. A live session setup B1000, safe buys above 14,200. Take profit would be just above the zone, so that's actually 100 pips. So the take profit will just be here, right above the zone. So if you break here, I'm looking for something like this. So let's just drop down the time frames and see if we can get another point of interest which we can actually use. So this one I'm going to remove it for now. H1. Okay, so what do we have on H1? H1, I've got a peak and a broken order block. So peak on the bottom, this is the last order block I see, visible to everybody based on H1. So break and a retest, so we can get a potential retrace into this area before we actually get that push up. So we can have an early entry round about this area here. All right, let's see. What else do we have on H1? We also have this order block here, which can act as a demand zone. So price can extend, break this particular order block and come into this area before we get that push up. That's another possibility. So we've got this first point of interest, this second point of interest. By that time, TDI might actually give us something like this. But price coming out of these volatility bands is showing us that there is potential of us having momentum to the top side if the levels we've stated hold. Okay, what we also notice is this was yesterday's lows. This is falling on our demand zone on H1. This is the H1 demand. That yesterday low is right there. So price might actually break this order block, come tap into this area before we get a huge explosive push up. We might also confirm any buy setup here if we see any baseline bounce. So baseline bounce will be TDI coming and doing this, or TDI coming and doing something like this. Right, so price will potentially then come, maybe do this and do this. But we'll just keep an eye. It's either we'll act on this zone or this zone. But if price is not held by these two zones, it means I do not have any other setup. If they decide to just push up from current market price, I'm still considering a safe buy right above 14,200. That's the reason for the safe buy actually. It's for in case price doesn't get to our points of interest, we can catch it on a safe buy area of 14,200. So we need a break and a solid close above that area for us to actually take a trade. So that's my current view on B1000. You might also consider running a fib, because some might mention that, okay, since we have a trend, why are we not using a fib? So on this particular example, a fib, you might run it two ways, because if you notice, we've got this low, but we've got a minor structure here, and this impulsive move then started here and extended to here. So you might consider running a fib from here to here, or you might want to use this. So let's just see how both fibs look like. So the first one from the bottom low to the highest high is telling us that if this is the low and this is the high, we'll potentially start getting a potential setup right around this area. This is around that H1 order block. Excuse me. We can also get a reaction on the 50, which is slightly below that order block, or we might get price getting to 61 and 70, which is right on the H1 demand level, this one as well. So this whole area is a point of interest for buys. If we can get a fresh pattern creating within the bias we have, that will be a high probability setup. So what I mean is price might come down, right? Then they'll create a fresh peak. Wherever they hit, they break a structure. We want to see them break a structure. Then we use that same structure for price to actually return. Once we get that return, this becomes a high probability buy. Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. And if we are to run our fib from the next impulsive move after a minor area was broken, you will notice that the zones are more or less the same, The only difference is this 38.2 is actually on the same area because it starts right on the top order block right here. And then our 70.5 is right near the H1 demand. So whichever fib you use, it still brings you within the same point of interest for buys. So if this area is violated now, that becomes a different setup. Maybe we might get equal lows for a buy, but it will be another setup which will need a different explanation. So I went deep with this one. I hope you guys are taking notes, especially for those still struggling. So going to J10, 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 J10. Nice bounce off the 200 EMA. This also looks like it could be a valid trade right now. So once we break above here, I'm looking for a potential buy. My reasoning for that particular setup is price gave us this leg and this leg, so almost equal lows, but here we've got a lower low and a lower low. Then when they came to almost the same level, price gave us a lower, how do I put this? We've got another lower low, but now TDI looks like it's now starting to potentially push up. So for me to buy this, I need a break and close above this area. I'll have one position. Then I'm looking for price to give an impulsive move. Then I can run a fib, number one. Or if I don't run a fib, I can still wait for price to retrace, potentially back to this area and get a potential push up. And I'll be just be using this level as a take profit. Nothing too drastic, nothing too big. Just keeping it simple. This is also a W on the 200 EMA. The only thing we need now is confirmation. Otherwise, TDI is already confirming that it has potential to push up. So that's my view based on M15, but let's check the daily, see if our bias is correct. So from the daily, we are trading above the 13 EMA, that's number one. Although here price looks like it is just tapped on the liquidity and it could retrace. So let's just keep that in mind. At the same time, we've got this bounce on the 13 EMA with a nice pin bar, and we've got a baseline bounce here. Usually a baseline bounce signals an impulsive move coming. So that also gives me that potential bias to see this price push up, supporting my M15 view. So let's just drop down the time frames. Let's see, drop down the time frames. Let's see if we can support that bias. So when we drop to H4, now my bias sort of changes a bit, because what I'm looking at is a potential ranging market. Because if you notice, we've got 4 equal highs right here. Until we break here, the buys won't really be that much supported, but there is potential we can still push up. So we're not ruling out the buys, but I'm just paying attention to these equal highs here. So what I want to do there is I'm going to remove this line and I'm going to put this gray zone here. Okay, perfect. So I just want to pay attention if we're going to come up above that zone, maybe break and retest for a continuation buy to support that daily impulsive move to the top side. Okay, that's my main view. But at the same time, in hindsight, I'm just paying attention to how we took off from this low. Right, we broke an order block here and retested it. You can agree with me, this is the peak and this is the order block. We broke it with a nice impulsive move back to this high, came back and bounced on the order block, 50 EMA, TDI, baseline bounce. Safe sell would have been somewhere there. Then price continued back up into the gray zone. Now it's retracing, but we've got a potential zone here. So the question now is this zone strong enough to hold price right now, or this price still wants to tap back into this demand zone there? These are just probabilities. So whenever you're analyzing charts or whenever I'm analyzing, that's the type of mind state I'll be in. Like I want to look at all potential possibilities based on the knowledge I have. So if whatever happens based outside my knowledge, I have no trade. But if whatever happens within the scope of what I've planned, then I can execute the trade. So that's my 2 points of interest there. If you drop to H1 now, okay, that's where that M15 setup is marked. So it's based off this low and price breaking this, so we can get a potential buy just coming back to today's high. That's my main setup, which I might be looking at if I decide to execute this. But be open to see this price come back down here. Be open to see this price break and potentially retest. You simply just need to know what to do based on what's happening on the particular zone. So that's it for J10. Going to V2501S, there was a fib here. I almost saw there. I missed the setup. I marked the setup from here to here. You can see this fib was ran. The only thing which made me not enter here first was my schedule. There was something happening and I wasn't too settled. And I wasn't too happy with this price action. So initially I was happy when I saw this. But when this particular candlestick closed, I sort of doubted this particular price action. And at some point, this was solid green. And it looked like they're actually bouncing off the 50 and they want to come up. That's why I didn't enter this trade at current market price. But however, if I had entered at any point with my stop loss above the pin bar, like we learned on the candlestick trading Bible, uh, my trade would have played out all the way to TP1, TP2, based off our FIB2, or to TP1, which would have been this day's lows, and TP2, which would have been this zone here. So either way, this trade would have been a good trade. Just that my mind state wasn't in a position to execute based on what was happening. So again, psychology plays a huge part in how you actually take your day-to-day trades. So as you can see, I had a rough run on my psychology a few days ago. That's why I saw also I wasn't on the charts, and I ended up missing a good trade even though it was marked out. So how was this trade marked out? We had the highest high here, a broken order block, price pushed down impulsively, retrace, push down. So I managed to look at this as a nice impulsive move. I just ran my fib in anticipation of a continuation down, and the trade played out. This is also courtesy of the candlestick trading Bible. So this is another example which you can actually take some notes on. Just see how price was playing, the reasons why we pictured a trend and our reasons for entry. So if a zone doesn't hold, it's simple. Price will come take you out and you can take the loss. That's why we also trade with stop losses. Jumping down to step index, looks like it's going sideways based on H1. So based on time, I'm just going to rush on this last setup. So I've got this low here and I've got this high here. So until price breaks outside these ranges, I don't have a trade. Try to keep it as simple as possible. The daily chart is showing us that price can potentially tap again into the 50 EMA there, although it looks like it almost tapped. If you zoom in right there, looks like it almost tapped. Liquidity was taken here, but again, we could also get continuation to the upside. So we've got price slowing down a bit. If we get a solid break, I'm looking forward for price to come for these highs here, and I'll be happy to get into a buy. But if price breaks on the bottom, that will potentially be a retracement to this up move, which is currently happening, and we will still be targeting this area as a take profit for any buys which we take around this area. Same applies to any buys taken around this area. So I hope that makes sense. I'll try to get more deeper into these setups maybe on the next session. Today I'm running out of time, so I'm just rushing. V5, for some reason, I just threw it back on the watch list. I realized missed one good trade, but nevertheless, if we throw our templates, I'm just going to look at the daily. Looks like we are potentially retracing. We're trading below the yellow baseline. So if it's retracing, I do not have any reason to buy unless we come back and respect the zone around the 13 EMA. Then we might get a buy to take out these highs. That's my only view on B5. So that's all from me. Let me check. Bro, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. We're going to resume with our sessions tonight. I believe. We're going to resume with our sessions tonight. I missed the last one. So tonight's one, I'll just try to make it long as well so that we can catch up on the questions you gave me on the last time, because I saw you had questions for me on Telegram. I'm going to plug in with you. Okay, what else? Apart from that, I think that's all for today. I'm not sure if you managed to catch C5 earlier. That was a good trade. We're still stalking for a potential continuation. C3 again, waiting for a potential continuation. C1000 right now, it looks like it's not coming back to the zone. Let me quickly see if they go to 38.2. They came and just touched, so this price could just sell to here. But if they do this, if they drop, I cannot jump into a moving train here. I'll simply wait for them to break and potentially retest, or maybe we can run another fib on this second impulsive move, and we'll see if we can have any point to sell from within that zone. But I'll advise in the Telegram group as well, just in case some guys haven't traded yet. B1000, we're waiting for a retracement for a continuation up. J10, if we get a break here, we're going to consider a buy. V250S, I'm not sure, did I speak about it? Did I speak about it? Seems like I just explained the setup and I left it alone. We are right on the 13 EMA. I don't think I spoke about it. But right now, price is sort of squashed in within this area. We're on the 13. We might reject and push down, or we might break. I would love to see how today's candles close on V2501S. I would love to see how the daily candle closes, because if you notice, we're still trading within today's range. This is today's high. This is today's low. So we're still within the range. We might get a sell setup around this area if we reject. It would have been nice to catch this particular buy, maybe target this area. A buy here might happen, but it's low probability. Price might actually respect this and decide to push down, also a possibility. But I'd love to see how the daily candle closes. So few seconds left into the session. Thank you guys for joining. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good trading.